Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I knew it was coming, and I've been telling you all, this is coming to a city near you. I just didn't know that it would be getting here this fast. A quick recap on the intro of this morning's video. If you have not entered to win 5 ounces of silver, go to this Monday's video and enter, ladies and gentlemen. It's free. And 5 ounces of silver, nowadays, with today's silver prices, not sure if you've seen the prices of silver today, but earlier today I checked and it was over $61 an ounce. Not sure if it's changed any since then, but that's a $300 bill, and all you have to do is enter for free. Alaska plots AI-driven digital identity, payments, and biometric data system. I told you that this is going to come. No matter what we do, it's going to come, and that's why we have to protect ourselves and get ready until this monetary system is over and we have a complete reset, not only of the monetary system, but of society. This is going to continue to happen, and that's why we have to prepare. Alaska is advancing plans for a far-reaching redesign of its My Alaska digital identity system, one that would weave agentic artificial intelligence and digital payments functions into a unified platform capable of acting on behalf of residents. A unified platform. Centralized, ladies and gentlemen, is the word that they should have used. Now, what's the saying? I think it goes that the road to hell is paved with good intentions or something like that. And I'm sure that's how they're going to make it sound on this article. A request for information issued by the Department of Administration's Office of Information Technology describes a system where AI software could automatically handle government transactions, submit applications, and manage personal data, provided the user has granted consent. And what's going on here now in Alaska is going to go on in every state in the United States. You just have to look for it. What once functioned as a simple login for applying to the permanent fund dividend or signing state forms could soon evolve into a centralized mechanism. Hey, they used the word centralized. Mechanism managing identity, services, and money flows under one digital roof. Now, do you really think, that it's a smart idea to have everything centralized in one location, whereas something goes wrong, the whole system goes down? The plan imagines AI modules that can read documents, fill out forms, verify eligibility, and even initiate tokenized payments. That would mean large portions of personal interaction with government agencies could occur through a machine acting as a proxy for the citizen. While the proposal emphasizes efficiency, of course, it's always either for efficiency to save money or it's for the children or for safety. It also suggests a major change in how the state and its contractors might handle sensitive data. And again, ladies and gentlemen, this may be about Alaska, but I guarantee you this is coming to a state and city near you. The RFI describes an ambitious technical vision, but provides a limited public explanation of how deeply such agentic AI systems could access, process, and store personal information once integrated with legacy databases. Even with explicit consent requirements, the architecture could concentrate extraordinary amounts of behavioral and biometric data with a single government-managed platform, meaning that they'll have everything about you under one platform. Security standards are invoked throughout the RFI, including compliance with NIST controls, detailed audit trails, adversarial testing, explainability tools, and human override features. So pretty much they're planning on letting AI take over, and if something goes wrong, they're hoping that they can get in there and override the system. Have you all seen The Terminator? Skynet? Yet those guardrails depend heavily on policy enforcement and oversight mechanisms that remain undefined. Now listen to this. The inclusion of biometric authentication. The inclusion of biometric authentication. What does that mean? What I've been talking about for a long time, such as facial and fingerprint verification, introduces another layer of sensitive data collection, one that historically has proven difficult to keep insulated from breaches and misuse. So that means that all of your data, everything about you, can be obtained from someone that hacks the system or can be misused by someone who wants to take advantage. A later phase of the program extends the system into digital payments and verifiable credentials. Verifiable credentials, remember, one day we're going to have to be able to prove who we are by biometric data just to get on a computer. But it's all for safety, ladies and gentlemen. We have to look out for the children, including mobile driver's licenses, professional certificates, hunting and fishing permits, and tokenized prepaid balances. This alignment suggests Alaska's move is not isolated, but part of a broader U.S. trend toward interoperable digital identity frameworks. Observers concerned with privacy warn that such systems could evolve into a permanent cross-agency tracking infrastructure, and that's exactly what they want. Their first step was the Real ID. The state's document also calls for voice navigation, multi-language interfaces, and a new user experience designed to cover as many as 300 separate government services in one app. Framed as modernization, the initiative nonetheless highlights an unresolved question: who truly controls a citizen's digital identity once government and AI systems mediate nearly every transaction? Once deployed, an AI that can act on behalf of a person also becomes capable of learning their pattern, predicting their needs, and operating continuously within government databases. So are they saying that they're going to be able to recognize your patterns? Is this going to be one of those things where they can say, hey, we need to go look into that person because we think they are about to break the law? Once Alaska's system moves forward, it will join a growing roster of governments weaving digital ID into the core of civic and online life. Across Europe, Canada, and Australia, digital identity frameworks are increasingly framed as gateways to public and private services, while emerging proposals in the United States hint at a future where identity verification might become routine for accessing even basic online platforms. Ladies and gentlemen, take a look at China, and that's where they want to take us to. They want to take us into a place where they can control everything you do by having you on a digital ID and a digital currency. These projects often promise efficiency, but their cumulative effect is to normalize constant identification, replacing the open, pseudonymous nature of the early internet with a model where every single interaction begins with proving who you are. The argument for security is persuasive to policymakers, yet it leaves unresolved how citizens can meaningfully opt out. You won't be able to opt out. If you want to interact in the economy, you will have to opt in, ladies and gentlemen. I've told you before, they're going to make it so simple and so nice for you to be able to opt in. Hey, we're going to give you an extra $200 this month if you opt into our digital wallet or digital currency. You're going to be able to not have to pay this charge and not have to pay that charge. And people are going to be like, oh, it's great. And they're going to make it so difficult to those that don't want to do it by saying, oh, you're going to have to pay an extra charge. If you want to use a credit card, you're going to have to pay an extra charge. If you want to use cash, if you can even get cash. And then once they get under the umbrella, then that's when the real tyranny will begin. I'm telling you, I may be sounding hyperbolic, but I am not. All you have to do is study history and study the countries that are practicing this right now. Once digital identity becomes the default mechanism for accessing financial systems, healthcare, or even social media, consent risks turning into a formality rather than a choice, which means that you're going to have to consent to whatever the flavor of the day is, or you're just not going to have access. The result could be a tiered digital environment, one for the verified and another for those excluded, whether by principle or circumstance. That change raises not only data protection concerns, but also fundamental questions about freedom of expression and association online and elsewhere. Linking AI driven automation to identity infrastructure magnifies these risks. A system that can act on behalf of a person is also capable of observing and predicting their decisions. When that capacity exists inside government networks, the boundary between service provisions and behavioral monitoring becomes precariously thin, meaning that they're going to be able to watch every single thing you do, predict what you're going to do. You know, every once in a while when you're thinking about something and you get on the internet and an ad comes up for that. That's just because they're predicting what you're going to need. Even with audit logs and human override functions, once such systems are embedded, reversing or limiting their reach is extremely difficult. I was talking to a friend of mine here, I think it was yesterday or the day before yesterday, about this topic, meaning that we are going to be getting into a system that we are going to be in for several years. It's going to take several years before the people finally wake up and say, what in the world have we allowed them to do to us? And then finally, the system will change. Because it doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on, it doesn't matter about your political ideology, everyone is going to come to the realization that we have been bamboozled and people are going to be very angry. Having said that, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you got something out of this. Look for this where you live because this is coming to a city near you. And the best thing that you can do is prepare for it. Because I just don't see, and I'm not being negative, I'm not being a pessimist, I just don't see any way of getting out of it right now. I think we're going to have to learn to adjust to this, and eventually humanity will come to the realization that we have to stick together instead of being governed by people that have nothing but control on their mind. All right, I hope you got something out of this. God bless every one of you. Thank you so much to everyone that subscribed here within the last week or so. I love you all. God bless America. I'm Alaska Prepper. I'm out.